Everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be looking at the patch notes for 11.22. So, as always, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out a ton on the channel. Come by, check out the stream, only on Twitch these days, starting around midnight Eastern Standard Time, going till about 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Very friendly, chill community. See if we can get back to Diamond. We've been doing pretty well lately. I think we're like mid-plat 2, something like that. So we're going to be pushing hard over the next couple of weeks to see if we can get there before the end of the season. So come by, cheer us on, talk about some random stuff, whatever you want to do. We'd love to have you. Very friendly community, so come by, check that out. And then I'm going to be adding more content on YouTube as well. I know over the last couple of months I've been super busy and haven't been very active on YouTube, but I am going to try to release at least one Warhammer video per day and at least one League video per day. And I'm going to go back to doing a tier list for each role, and I'm going to try to make it like 15 to 20 minutes for each role. So be sure to check back every day for some of that daily content. Like, subscribe if you enjoy it, follow on Twitch, and if you really like the content, consider subscribing on Twitch as well. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here. So end of the season is about midnight on, it doesn't say the day, I believe it's the 16th. It's just whenever patches usually go down. So it might be the 15th then. But something around that. Basically 2 weeks from now. That'll be it. And then you get your ranked rewards on December the 16th. So that's a pretty long time to wait on that. Typically you do get that a little bit earlier, but I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter that much in my opinion. But yeah, they're giving it to you kind of the end of the preseason before they go away for holiday break for a couple weeks. Okay, so Akali Assassin's Mark is going up a little bit in damage. This is probably okay. I think that Akali in general is a pretty dangerous champion to buff. I think that a lot of her kit is interesting. I think that her backflip is interesting, like her Q, her sort of cat and mouse game with the smoke is interesting. I just think that her ult, just the fact that it's a point-click double jump, is probably a little bit too strong, in my opinion. So I would like to see them buff something like this, but then be careful not to make her too strong and simultaneously nerf her ult. So I think she's better when she has to, land multiple things on people and kind of damage them over time. I think that's a much more balanced playstyle and kind of fits that ninja playstyle more than just straight up one-shotting people. So, anyways, this is probably okay. She's pretty bad in solo queue unless you're a specialist on her. So, I think that's fine. I don't know about pro if they will push her over the top or not, but I think she has pretty much no presence at Worlds right now, so it's probably okay to buff her a little bit. Graves, okay, they're taking his damage down. Base damage per critical strike pellet 20%. So I'm not sure exactly how much that was before, but it looks like that's definitely going to nerf the damage on the crit build. I think that's good, but what I would change about Graves is his grit and how much armor he gets. I know that's what makes him kind of unique, and that he can get into close combat with his shotgun, and he wouldn't be able to do that, if he didn't have the armor. So it's okay. I personally don't think that Graves is too much of a problem right now. I know he is getting played top lane at Worlds, and then also he's getting seen in the jungle a little bit. The nerfing him a little bit is probably okay. Nerfing the crit build, I think that's kind of the only build he does these days. I don't think he does any more like Black Cleaver type of builds. But that's probably fine. Okay, then Kalista. That's a pretty huge bump because that's total AD, so that includes base AD on her E. So that means she's going to do a lot more damage on the Ren. And don't forget that that's per spear. And then, I mean, it falls off after the first one, but that still adds up, right? If you have 5 spears in somebody, before you pull them out, which is pretty common, sometimes you might even have more, then you're talking an extra, 10% here, and then on each one of these 5. So it'd be like an extra 30% AD, which is a lot of damage. So that's a really big buff for her. Historically, she's not that great in solo queue, except in like her most OP phases. So that's probably okay. And some of the best supports right now are enchanters. The tanks are still okay, but enchanters are definitely rising in terms of win rates, and she's not that great with enchanters. She's much better with tanks. So into this metagame, it's probably okay. If it had been a few patches ago before, you know, Leona got tapped down and some of the enchanters got buffed up with Moonstone and things like that, this might have been too much, but I think in the current metagame, it's okay. With Kayn, okay, Darken, physical damage is going up, I think, a little bit. Yeah, 5.5% of the target's max health per 100 AD. So they're trying to encourage you to build more AD on him. On Red Kayn, which is probably fine. And then the R is doing more damage. So I think this is fine. I think that Red Kayn is the easier of the two to balance, just because he doesn't do as much upfront burst damage and he doesn't have as much mobility. Kayn is most toxic when he's able to go for that blue build that's also uses hybrid items like Goredrinker and Sterix. So then he's hard to kill, he's really mobile, and he does a lot of damage. So I like that they are, you know, buffing up Red Kayn a little bit after they nerfed Blue Kayn pretty hard a few patches ago. So I think that he's okay. This is probably a decent buff. I'm not sure that he needed a buff, but I think that this is probably manageable. Okay, Khazix. This champion's just really obnoxious, so just on a personal level, I'm happy when he gets nerfed. But they're lowering his Q damage, taking 15% off of the bonus AD ratio on his Q, which is huge, and then the isolated damage is losing 30%. So that's a really big hit to his damage on his Q, his single target burst damage, which is what he really needs. Like, he does not want to be in sustained fights. He wants to blow up that person on the back line. So it's a pretty substantial nerf to him. He does have a high win rate right now. I'm not sure that it was entirely necessary. He has no pro presence. But fine. Again, I don't like him personally. I think he's just really toxic when he gets ahead, but overall, it's okay. Malachi. So they're nerfing Malachi a little bit, which is kind of bizarre because he really doesn't have, like, he's got an okay win rate. It's like 53%, but I don't know. He has like almost no pro presence. Even in solo queue, it's like 3%. It's okay, I guess. So they're nerfing his healing off of his auto attack, and then his W does a little bit less damage as well. So really nerfing kind of the tank version of it. I still think that, you know, the mandate version could be okay. Now, they might be doing this preemptively because in the preseason, I think he's going to be really good with several of the items. Check out my preseason itemization video I released yesterday with some numbers in it. But I think that they might be doing this a little bit early just because he is going to get probably buffed pretty hard in the preseason. He's going to be one of the better users of some of those new tank items and AP items. So like the Demonic Embrace and the new like Tear of the Goddess tank item. He might be good users. I don't know if you build that in the same build, but either way, I guess that's okay. I think it's unnecessary, but sure. Okay, base health is going down a ton by 70, but you are getting 20 per level. So after 4 levels, you actually have more health. So it's better scaling, but you're going to be a lot more vulnerable to invades on your first like clear or clear and a half. I think that's fine most of the time, right? You just ward, and they're nerfing Scuttle anyways on this patch, so you don't even have to fight for Scuttle. Just go for a full clear, reset, and then, you know, go for it again. I don't think she ganks super well early. I'm not 100% about that. Maybe she does. But I feel like she really starts to come online at level 6. So I think this is probably, in a lot of scenarios, I don't think that she wants to invade. Again, I'm a little ignorant of her. I don't see her a ton in solo queue. I know she has been played at Worlds some. But I think that's probably acceptable if she's going to get more health later. And then Edge of Ixtal. That's a pretty big nerf to the bonus AD. This is the thing she can spam a lot that's on the low cooldown. So that definitely does add up, losing the 15% bonus AD and 10 flat. So that's pretty big. And then now I don't know if she is like goes for a Goredrinker Sterix build or if she goes for the lethality build. I would imagine it's probably lethality, but this is going to hurt lethality a lot more than it's going to hurt the Gord. If she does go for like a Goredrinker Sterix build, that's probably not going to matter as much, but it's definitely a nerf. And then this, oh, that's massive. Holy crap. So she's losing 20% here with 40 off of her E. That's a big deal because that's her combo. When she goes in, she locks you up with the E, and then I think she hits you with the Q. So you're losing a total of 20%, 15, so that's 35% bonus AD off of this, and a flat 50 damage. Okay, yeah, she's dumpstered. You are straight nerfing her. Like, you're just literally giving her a little bit of health. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have, 100 more HP at level 9 or something like that, right? And in exchange, I'm just gonna lose all of my damage. So this is really, really bad. I don't think you're gonna see her anymore. That's brutal. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overestimating that. But when you start seeing those numbers, I mean, just think about it. 3 AD, or 2 AD in some cases, has completely changed whether champions are viable or not. Like Graves, Caitlyn, stuff like that. Like 2 or 3 AD, the meme, makes a big difference. And we're talking losing 50 damage on your all-in combo when you're a burst champion. Like, that's extremely brutal. Like, I think they could have just nerfed the ratios if they don't want her to scale as hard. I don't know why they're butchering her base damage. I think they're going to rebuff her at some point because her win rate's going to drop like 4% after this, I think. Okay. Renekton gets his empowered stun back. Okay, I guess. I mean, he needs to be proactive. He needs to be strong early. I don't think he's that interesting of a champion, personally. He's very reliable, good early game bully who can transition into a pseudo tank later with like Goredrinker Sterix, which are still extremely strong. They're buffing Goredrinker again on this patch, which is just dumb in my opinion because it's still a good item. And I mean, I don't know what the stats are on it, but I can just tell you anecdotally in the games I've seen, those Goredrinker Sterix champs are still really, really good. So they feel really impactful at least. So, okay, I guess. I mean, he's a Goredrinker Sterix abuser, so he's probably going to be... he'll probably be playable again. He'll probably be pretty good. Okay, Riven getting 10 extra base damage on her W. Okay, same ratio. And then Valor is just getting a little bit, 20% more bonus AD. That's pretty big, though, because she does stack quite a bit of AD. And they are buffing Goredrinker as well. Now, I do think Riven is an interesting champion. So I do like it when stuff like Riven is in the meta because there is a huge skill cap to her. A lot of people just aren't going to play her fully optimally. And I think she is a fun champion. So I think there is plenty of counterplay to her. I mean, obviously, if she gets turbo fed, everyone's seen like the Riven montages, all that. She's one of the best like montage champions. But I feel like as a support or whatever, I can at least lock her up and maybe have a chance to kill her. Like she can outplay her stuff if she dodges it, but I think that she's easier to take care of potentially than some of the other monsters that can get that same suite of items out there. So I think this is probably okay, but it is a little dangerous because she is one of the most one-tricked and abused champions, especially at really high-level play. So the challengers are going to have a field day with this, but I think us mortals and low diamond and lower, it's probably going to be okay. Okay, Varus. That's a pretty big ratio, going up from 60% to 90%. That's nice. Varus did fall really hard out of the meta. I don't remember what they nerfed about him. He was like the go-to AD maybe 4 months ago or so. And I don't remember what they nerfed offhand. I think his sniper arrow build was what people were doing. So maybe people can go back to that. This will give you more poke in the laning phase. If you get that tier early, you can spam these arrows on people. It still gets the full ratio, even if you only put 1 point in this. I think usually you max Q, and then you have a choice between W and E. I think maybe you max E second. But it still gets the ratio at all ranks. So will he fit in? There might be some metas where you could see him. I still expect, because Misfortune's not getting touched, that it's still going to be primarily, a meta that's warped around Misfortune. But I think ADCs in general are in a pretty good spot. There are a lot of different ADCs that are viable. And I think this will help him out. So probably good. Varus is an interesting champ. Vi is getting a ton of changes here. Every millisecond counts. Okay. knocked back immediately. Okay. So these are quality of life. So these are hard to quantify. It's hard to really understand just how much this matters unless you play this champion a lot. But sometimes these things can be massive. Just very small quality of life improvements can be huge. Okay, so it's 1.4 seconds at all ranks, which is pretty good. That's an extra 0.15. Again, these are things that are hard to understand. Nearby enemies, Vi's ult path will get knocked back immediately. Okay. Once she is within 300 units of her primary target instead of varying. Okay, so this is just like weird squirrel code that they had that they have helped. So, I think these are all good. So I don't know her winner. I feel like Vi should be a champion that's like okay because she does have that point-click lockdown. And she's unstoppable when she does it. So that right there is already going to be valuable just to have backline access. So that's good. It's just what does she do when she gets in there is sort of the problem, right? But if she does have like Sterix, maybe a Trinity Sterix build. I don't know what else she could go. I guess you could go like Goredrinker Sterix build on her. I just don't know how she's going to line up against the other Goredrinker Sterix people. My instinct is she just doesn't do enough, and she's a bit easier to outplay and kite when she doesn't have her ult up. So she does get that initial ult. She does get some burst, but then after that, it's fairly easy to counterplay a lot of what she's doing. But I think this is good. She's a fairly, interesting, unique champ that she does have that lockdown. Okay, Yumi is getting the movement speed nerfed, which is pretty substantial, because the baseline is not that high. It's only 15%. It does last for, I think, 3 seconds, non-decaying, though. I don't even know why it has a ratio on it to begin with. 15% non-decaying is still pretty good. So, at higher, like, when you have, like, 200 AP at, maybe 2 or 3 items. Remember, she does get AP off of attaching to people, so it's easier for her to get to something like 200 than other enchanters, and she starts off with basically a free 950 gold because she doesn't have to buy boots. Then, instead of having, 35% movement speed, she's going to give people 27% movement speed. So, it'll matter. It'll matter, but I still think that she'll probably be pretty good. And then the heal... Losing 20 heal is substantial, because remember, that gets amplified by a lot of items, right? That gets amplified by Moonstone, that gets amplified by Redemption or Mikhail's. A lot of items that she gets, Revitalize, are going to interact with that heal. So the 5% AP is kind of okay, it's sort of whatever. It's not very good scaling compared to some of the other champs out there. But the baseline 20 is pretty substantial, so... I still think she'll kind of be a menace, particularly in higher elo play. It's that Moonstone that does most of the healing. Like, her E is like a good heal, but it's the Moonstone that's kind of ridiculous, because when she jumps around to different people, that counts as an interaction for Moonstone, so she can keep it up very easily in fights. So her win rate's not that crazy in solo queue. It's like 50%. It kind of always is, between like 49 and 51%. But... she's just such a late game threat. She just has so many tools. She's got the AoE CC. It's impossible to target her. She still gives out movement speed, still has a decent heal on it, especially when you combine it with Moonstone. She does pretty decent damage with her Q. If you want to go for that. I mean, maybe people will just max Q and go for like a Ludens type of build or one of those new items. Maybe the new Frost Queen's Claim, or not Frost Queen's Claim. Is that it? The thing that can freeze people? Because you can do that while you're attached, I'm pretty sure. Maybe she's going to try that out in the preseason. I don't know, but it's just, she just amplifies. There's so many 1v9 type of champs right now out there, those Sterix Goredrinker champs. And if they get ahead, if they get like 5 kills, just if any of your lanes is successful and she attaches to them, it's big trouble. So I think they just need to rework her to where she can't permanently attach. That's what they're going to do. And, league season, 2024 or something, they're finally going to figure out, hey, maybe Yumi should not be able to stay permanently attached. So what they need to do is she can attach for short periods of time, and then she gives a large buff to people when she does that. Maybe she could even jump to different targets during that window. Maybe that's a fair way to do it. So she can, touch different targets, but she can't get on the same target for like 10 seconds or something. Kind of like with Yasuo, where he can, dash through a bunch of different minions, but he can't go back to the same minion after a while. I think that would be interesting to give her the mobility in team fights, but so that she can't just permanently attach to somebody, like Kayn, who's got 5 kills and just run through all the walls and just murder everybody. Right? So I think that would be a much more interesting playstyle. So obviously, if they want to change that, they would have to lower her mana cost considerably. Just rebalance her a little bit. Lower all the other stuff, give her some more durability. Turn her into a normal enchanter that can occasionally, go untargetable, attach to people, but has to come back off after some amount of time, 3 to 5 seconds. Maybe you could make it scaling based on your W. Maybe it starts at 3, and then you get an extra half a second per point in W. I don't know, just to encourage you to maybe put some points in W. So, I don't know, but I think she needs a light rework. I like the idea of Yumi. I think a lot of her kit is really cool. It's just the fact that she can permanently attach, and that there's virtually no counterplay to that if she attaches to someone that's fed. I think that's the thing a lot of people have problems with. But the rest of her kit is pretty cool. Okay, and then finally we have Goredrinker. Buffing this item again. It's like, guys, it's not overshot. Like these. Okay, I gotta look at this. I haven't been looking at stats too much, but I gotta look. Let me see here. Wow, dude, Xayah. Okay, this is 1122. She's got a huge win rate. But let me look at 1121 because that's like a super low sample size. Only 2,000 games. Let me look at last patch here with the Goredrinker nerfed patch, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I don't really know statistically. Okay, it is a lot worse on Khazix, the Goredrinker. Maybe I'm just a hater or misremembering things. Camille's not going to get it. Everyone knew Camille was going to be a lot stronger because she's one of the few people who did not go Goredrinker. She'll go Divine Sunder or Trinity Force or something else. He's not gonna go Goredrinker. Like, what's the difference here in these items? It is like a 2% difference. I don't know. Like, everyone kind of memes on this item. It's hard to get good information, but maybe well, Riven's a good one because they're buffing Riven too. Maybe it is bad. Maybe it just seems good. I think Sterix is honestly a much bigger problem than Goredrinker is. This item's just it gives a ton of health and a shield and lifesteal all on one item. This at least only gives health and lifesteal. Yeah, I mean, it still is going to be the best it still is the best option on her by a lot. I mean, I guess like Cleaver, but nobody does Cleaver first, I don't think. Hardly anybody does. So Goredrinker is still, one of the better options that people are getting, and she still has an okay win rate. It's like 51% for a champion that's hard to play. So I don't know. I won't harp on it too much, but it is what it is. It seems suspicious to me. I think a lot of people also feel like it is suspicious. It's like, just let it chill for us. I mean, it's been dominant for a lot of the season. Sterix as an item has been dominant the entire season. It's just kind of been, do you get Goredrinker? Do you get Stridebreaker? Or do you get Divine Sunder? What do you want to combine with your Sterix, this game? So I don't know. That's like the common link, the item that's been OP literally the entire season, and they just shuffle up what the first item is that you get to go with it. So it just seems really weird to me because this has been a dominant item for months, and it's just like, it's, been knocked down to be something that's relatively fair for one patch, and already they're like, whoa, hold on. These champs are at a 50% win rate. We got to make sure that these champs are at like 52 plus. Come on now. So, I don't know. Seems a little weird to me, but it is what it is. So, someone pointed out on stream that the Goredrinker has more health than a lot of the tank mythics do, which is weird as well. But, I mean, that's a little disingenuous because it doesn't have armor or magic resist on it. So, you're not going to be as durable with Goredrinker as you are with something like Sunfire, right? But it's still pretty damn durable, right? Especially with the Omni Vamp on it. So now it actually heals you for a decent chunk, and you have that active that heals you for even more, and it's wave clear. I think they should just trim some power off of this. Like, that's really what they need to do in general, and it looks like they're not going to do that in the preseason probably, but just give items a more unique identity, a more unique niche. It should not be everything. That's been a huge problem with every item that's been difficult to balance all season, is it does everything. It's got ability haste on it, it has, you know, damage on it, like AD, it has some kind of active that does something that's really good as well, it's got health on it, it's just loaded up with like 5 or 6 different stats, everything you could possibly want on an item most of the time, right? So just trim some of that off. When you're looking at Goredrinker, just say, hey, let's nerf the damage that it does to minions or something. Let's just nerf the wave clear on it. That'll, you know, you'll still be good in combat with it, but you won't be able to clear waves as fast. That seems like a reasonable trade-off to me, if you want something that's effective in combat. So they have taken away some of the offense, and they situated this more as a defensive item. I think they nerfed the AD on it when they nerfed it last patch. I can't remember. Which is okay, but I still just think it does too much. Just nerf the wave clear on it. But anyways, okay. Bug fixes QOL. I don't think there's that much going on here that I'm going to talk about. There might be something good in there, but whatever. We'll keep this under 30. So anyways, okay, well that's going to be it. Do I think any of this is going to shake up the meta too much? I mean, this is going to help the Goredrinker people, who again, I think are still like in an okay place. Yumi should still be good, but that'll knock her down a little bit. Vi, I'm not sure. It's difficult to understand this unless you play Vi a lot. I don't think it's going to matter that much, but there's a chance she could do really well. Varus, a little more viable, probably not dominant in the metagame. Riven for one tricks with the Goredrinker buff and these 2 buffs. That's very substantial, so keep an eye on that. I think it'll be okay for like under Diamond, but you know, those high level Riven montage people are probably gonna love this. Renekton, good. You know, that's good for pro play, I guess. Goredrinker also got buffed, so he'll definitely be a little bit better. Kiana's in the gutter, massive nerf, undeserved in my opinion. Malachi, strange nerf, it's probably fine. Khazix, get that bug out of here. I still think he'll probably be okay. He's going to lose like 2% off of that, would be my guess. Kayn, sure. Red Kayn's interesting, I think. He's an okay champ. Kalista, a lot stronger, potentially in Pro and Challenger. I still don't think she's going to be that great in solo queue. And also, I think it's an okay time to try to buff her just because supports that synergize really well with her ultimate, the tanks, aren't as dominant as they once were a few patches ago. Graves, needed to nerf him some way. This seems reasonable. And then Akali, dangerous champ to buff, but this seems like potentially an okay way to do it, just because it does require a little bit more skill in terms of positioning and really maximizing the mobility of her kit, so it's probably okay. But anyways, that's going to be it for this breakdown. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is there anything else that you've noticed out there that seems really powerful or seems really interesting you want me to take a look at? Come by, check out the stream. Starts every night around midnight Eastern Standard Time, and I'll see you then. Have a good day.